Okay, that was just to get things started. Merry Christmas to everyone. Welcome to show number 72 of This Week in Hospitality Digital Marketing. I am one of your hosts, Lauren Gray, and with me is my ever-happy co-host, and as a wonderful surprise visual visitation, Miss Holly Zoba with some series worldwide.
The fact checker.
The fact checker is with us. We cannot go offline with this. I'm going to continue to play with technology. We have not a whole lot of different topics, but some very heavy, big ones, some very thought-provoking ones. One that Mr. Ed actually brought to the table, which is phenomenally excellent to discuss because it opens up a whole wonder if what the world's going to be like scenario. And Mr. Ed, I'm not going to take that thunder away from you for us to talk about it, and the other ones are kind of minor role conversations. So I'm going to let you get started while I try to refigure out why technology has failed me this morning and try to get us back live on Facebook and switch over to the other computer and all the other fun stuff. So I'm going to leave it to you to guide the thought process in all this.
Scary. Oh, great. Do I even know what the topic is?
Well, it was in the email. It's not that like crazy. It's I was actually chatting with Lauren about someone told me about West Elm launching hotels and the thought process behind it. So I was talking to Lauren about it, and we Google searched it to make sure it was something we could talk about. It was public, so they have a website.
October. It was the first the newsletter clip I threw in there. The blog was from October, so it's been floating for a bit.
Yeah, it took a while, I guess, to get to us slow pokes. Yeah. But it's a really neat. The way it was explained to me by an insider was they're going to start shuttering retail locations and go online only and catalog only, which is not unusual. I mean, that's how they started as a company. But the idea is through the hotels, you'll actually be able to go and stay and experience the furniture that way.
Well, do you go to the store? Do you like the store?
I do.
I love the store, but I like the bricks and mortar. So it is interesting because what I like about it are the textures and I have to go and investigate. I'm surprised that they would.
So imagine the investigation you could have staying there.
Yeah, I think it's pretty smart.
But let's also think about the fact of what that does to FF&E for the hotel. I mean, that's actually pretty interesting. It's an interesting model. Because all their furniture in the hotel is going to be West Elm furniture.
Right. I mean, the whole craze started in, 2000 is when we did the Heavenly Bed, when they first started coming up with it. And that was the first recognition of in-room product being able to be retailed, was the Heavenly Bed. Because up to then, it had been like curios and B&B places and things like that. That was about the only real retail connection to hotel rooms was if you wanted to pick up some memorabilia associated with a uniquely boutique-ish place, you had that option. But on a large scale, the Heavenly Bed was the first to really kick it into that mode. Imagine, I mean, you think about high tech, okay? You have rows and rows of vendors selling not generic, but industry grade stuff. There's no real pomp or splendor to it. I mean, how many hotel rooms do we go into and the picture scheme is the same because it's brand and it's the same things every place? And
well,
actually, that's I look at it and go, I've seen that picture 1,000 times.
What really tickled me about it is we joke inside the office here on how most hotels' marketing actually just looks like a furniture catalog. So it's actually funny that a company who is a furniture catalog kind of thought the same thing. What I'll find interesting is, their furniture is not commercial grade. So I wonder how it's going to hold up.
That's what my thought was, because I mean, wear and tear in a hotel room. I've sort of done it. I worked for an owner who brought in spectacular furnishings that were not commercial grade. And one, the made minutes were insane trying to maintain it. It was really expensive. And two, they didn't hold up.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be interesting to see what they do. And who knows, maybe they're going to make a commercial grade of the furniture. They possibly could.
Well, I mean, again, something that you and I talked about it that I thought was the fascinating component of this is the expanded capabilities of these types of relationships going in. It's not so much that a furniture store is going to run a hotel.
And they're not going to. They partnered with some ex-Schrager people who also know how to run hotels that have different designed rooms. Because Steve Rubel did it in his hotels, and I think a couple of the Schrager properties, the rooms had different designers as part of the scheme there. It's always, I always like that model. It's actually, I'd always said if I was going to open a boutique hotel, I would do the same thing. I would have like a Ralph Lauren room and, different designers, because I think it's quite interesting. And it is an interesting reason for people to come back and stay with you, is to try the different rooms.
True. And it kind of goes back to the uniqueness of independent hotels having that flexibility of room types. But on the scale that we're talking about, I don't, again, it's not so much the ownership relationship, whether they manage it or not, but it's also the collaborative capability of retail to now enter into the hospitality space. Now it's not just Starbucks coffee in your coffee machine, which has been a representation we've seen for a while, but now there's uniqueness of potentially linens. And yes, to your point, Holly, they're probably going to have some difference as to the actual product of the hotel for durability compared to the consumer product that they offer. Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe they just sell the professional product to the consumer level. But if you start doing all those kind of collaborations where the coffee is by Starbucks, the bedding is by
in-room automation by Amazon.
Yeah, integrations of where now Amazon versus now you're going to choose hotels because it has a Google Assistant, or does it have an Amazon Echo in it? Are those going to be things that we consider when we go into the process?
I also thought the markets they're opening in are pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It's not exactly primary markets.
Although makes sense for a experiment.
Detroit?
Yeah, why not? They're going to be
Detroit has nothing but
right.
They're
going to be very different than any other product in Detroit. That's for sure.
True.
Yep. And I didn't see what neighborhood in Detroit it's in, but hopefully it's one that you could park a car in. But the real estate's cheap there.
True. Where else? Minneapolis.
Which I think is a great market for it. I love Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
They have
Minneapolis is a little bit of an undiscovered city. There's a lot of history there that they haven't. I mean, you get there and there's some pretty neat buildings there. I mean, there's some neat stuff in the city.
It's sort of seems to be the trend of their market. So Savannah also obviously has a cool history.
Yep.
And niche. They were just interesting cities.
I didn't see. Was there anything in New York? I didn't pay attention to that because they're actually it's the Salt Hotel guys that are doing it, and they're out of New York. So I'm surprised they didn't put something up in New York or like Brooklyn. But that would be tougher because there is product like that in that market.
Yeah, there's a lot of competition.
Like Ace Hotels and players like that.
The locations, I'm looking now.
As you can tell, we put a ton of work into planning this conversation.
Detroit, Minneapolis, Savannah, Charlotte.
I have a lot of conversation about the website I want to do. I want the website. I was really impressed with the website.
Yeah, their website's beautiful, but again, it doesn't surprise me. If you go to Salt Hotels, their website's awesome too. It's very similar.
Yeah, Charlotte and Minneapolis are the other two cities. No New York. I mean, nothing really.
Yeah, I mean, but they are interesting markets. So Minneapolis, Savannah, Charlotte, Indianapolis. They don't have where's the Detroit neighborhood? Oh, there it is. Let's explore the neighborhood in Detroit.
Oh, I'm about to either flip a switch that's going to mess things up for me or mess things up for me. I'll let you know. I'm going to go over and go live.
I'm going to guess it's going to mess things up for you just based on history of this broadcast.
I'm just saying it could be this case. I'm going to go live there and off the air. Off the air.
Boom! It's brighter green.
It is. My.
It doesn't mean everything's working yet.
Your sound is much better.
Well, the microphone. All right.
So I think West Elm should partner with Best Buy and should have Geek Squad out of the hotel as also IT support for the hotel. And there you go. Retail's invaded hospitality, and it's going to kill half the vendors in the industry. Everyone wins.
I'll go along with that.
What? Neither of you want to touch that?
No. I missed the conversation only because I'm changing screens on us. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm getting Facebook Live kicked in.
Good. So it was a limited audience that heard me just say that.
Yeah, I did not catch it. Sorry, I did not catch it. What did you say? What did you say that I'm going to disagree with?
I was saying I think they should partner with Best Buy and have Geek Squad based out of the hotel. as their IT support. So then all the furniture and all the technology are by retailers, and it would completely kill off like half the if that like worked and took traction, it would kill off like half the vendors in this industry.
Oh, it'd probably be a better service. I mean, and at the end of it, I think it'd be probably a better service profile than what they have right now. I mean,
I just said everyone wins.
Yeah, I really necessarily can't disagree with that. I mean, to be honest with you, that's a tough one to disagree with.
Well, what's interesting is both West Elm. Well, let's just talk about West Elm. They're an online retailer first, so they do have retail locations, but that is not their primary source of business. Their primary source of business is online, so they know how to market things online at a completely different scale, quality. They know how to market to consumer. I think they could do pretty well as a brand offering.
Mm.
And let's not forget, like, what it can launch into. If they are successful, then they can launch a luxury brand under Pottery Barn, because they're a Pottery Barn company.
True. I'm changing our Periscope Live project right now.
Holly, you just don't love the idea, do you, Holly?
I do love the idea, but you know what I always come back to, which I swear it's not just because of my background, but it's based in fact. It's going to depend on the service level of the property, what they do with that, and they can't partner with somebody there, and that's what gets some folks in trouble, because they are an online company and their service in their stores not spectacular, and so. That's the tricky part.
I think they saw that, because if you look at who they partnered with, it's David Bowd, who's from AB Hotels and Schrager. Okay. You have their
design, not necessarily for service.
Their principal of operations and finance is from AB Hotels and Commune Hotels and Resorts.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
Yep. Their real estate guy is a hospitality REIT, Wasserman Real Estate, and they're really good. Big Starwood holders is what they were. So I mean, they put together an interesting team. Like, I would be shocked if they're, with the hospitality chops they have involved in it, I'd be shocked if it was anything short of a really great experience. And I'm sure they're going to hire you, Holly, to come in and train their people correctly.
But beyond that, it's really, how can they create a unique service experience? And that's kind of why I like the Geek Squad.
Yeah, like, have Geek Squad on site. Oh, your phone's not working. No problem.
I can help you.
Yeah.
It'd be fantastic.
Wouldn't that be insane? I thought it would be a really cool idea. And it would cause the whole industry to kind of have to step up, because let's face it, retail is far more advanced than hospitality. Oh,
yeah, by far. Well, for anybody that just joined us on Facebook Live and Periscope, sorry for the latency in our getting started. We had a small surprise technical issue with the show starting today. But we're back on for both of those. And I think I shared this with you. Holly, were you on the last week's show that you heard that we had almost 300 people on Periscope follow us on the first show?
That's amazing.
Cool. That's cool.
And last week's show, just on Facebook, it hit almost 900 by itself, which was nice. Wow. So, I mean,
so Holly,
we don't get the live participation, we get the residual presentation.
Did you hear my awesome story that happened to me at Expedia when someone came up to me and was just chatting with me? We were talking about industry stuff, and then she goes on to say, do you know Lauren Gray? I was like, yeah, I know Lauren. She's like, he does this weekly web show. I just watched the latest episode. You would be really good on it. And I was like, I'm glad you feel that way, because I've been doing it for about 6 months.
Actually, you have to take bigger credit than that. I look back and you joined, I think your first show was this time last year.
Okay. Wow. A year.
Yeah. You've been with us going through the better part of a year. You joined us, I think, early part of December was the first one I think I came across. I'm having to explain with the website, because now there's so much content from our show on there, that the painter's house is the last to get painted, or the cobbler's kids are the last to have shoes. My website is so freaking bad. It's a disaster, but it's got tons of content. Just going to show you, content isn't king, but it just sits there. So my next week is my me week.
Lauren, I've been talking to Brian about it here because you've been doing some really nice things for us. If a few of those things come through, like we think they will, we'd be happy to build a website for you.
Dude, I would be all over it. I really would, because the website, like I said, is it's got tons of fun stuff on it. I just got to get it all fixed up. Speaking of, did you see what Tim, who's not with us, he's spending time with family for the holiday, that he was asking about another engagement platform, and I was going to look it up on Messenger real quick, if one of you all can, because I'm flat out of screens. It began with a K, like Kiddly,
Toodle.
Something.
Was this on Facebook Messenger?
Yeah, it was on Facebook Messenger, and it was kind of interesting because I looked it up, and it is kind of a neat a neat integration with the Wi-Fi connection. Invasion, same difference. Because as you sign up for the Wi-Fi at the hotel, is it Doodle? Zoodle, yeah, Zoodle. And I would love to go over and see if we can get Alex again from Alice to give us some insights, as he is the de facto authority on the engagement in-house. Where this looks like or could look like is a competitor. Not, I mean, of course, it doesn't compare to Alice's integration by any stretch, but it is a neat platform where once you sign in with Wi-Fi,
I see what they're playing on. Yeah,
and it's so easy access gateway, because that is a standard de facto communication point for your guests at your hotel. So why not give them immediate ability to get push and pull from it?
Yeah, it's it's pretty neat. If you remember when we were talking about beacons last, I had made a comment how I don't understand the reliance on creating a need for another piece of equipment in the hotel when Wi-Fi is capable of doing the same thing. Obviously, these guys are playing off of that. It's amazing what you can do with Wi-Fi. I really got a really good education on it a couple of high techs ago when a gentleman who actually is in the Wi-Fi world came to me and just wanted to learn about Flip2. And then I was like, what do? You in the industry? And he's like, no, I like to check out stuff. I'm a writer for, Twitter is wireless nerd. And he started telling me and educating me on what you can do with Wi-Fi. And it's spooky. First of all, I can tell you the entire industry missed the boat on why to give free Wi-Fi, because the reason to give free Wi-Fi is trackability and the amount of data you can learn about the people who are in your building. And that, first of all, if everyone understood that and was using that, we'd have better Wi-Fi in hotels, and it would be free. Everywhere, even for the super high speed, because what you can do with Wi-Fi, as he was explaining it to me, is insane. About what you can learn about a person's behavior when you're providing the Wi-Fi is insane. Which also made me go, all right, I'm going to stop connecting to Starbucks Wi-Fi. I'm gonna. Oh,
Starbucks is the worst.
I'm going hotspot. Yeah, well, he explained to me what restaurants do with it, why they do it, and what they're able to learn about the people coming through their doors from a consumer behavior standpoint to better target, better price, all of that.
There's a neat platform that's using that, and to a very high degree, called Gravy. It's a proximity alert program. I know. Where do they come up with these names? Why can't they be something like a long URL, like hospitality digital marketing, where you just know what it is? Okay, it takes you 10 minutes to write the name, but you know what it is.
Well, what I love about this, and I'm just gonna quickly go off on a little offshoot of the offshoot here, is companies who build product to interact with consumers. I don't think enough of them think through the fact that consumers are going to figure out who you are and come to your website. So if you look at how we talk about what our product does on our website, it's very cautious to make sure that when a consumer comes to the site, they realize that this is to make their life better. It's not leveraging. You never hear us say leverage your guests or things like that, which a lot of the marketing software in our space does. I won't talk about who recently came out with something, but they actually made it sound like you were going to just pick your consumer's pocket and you were going to use them. And I was like, man, any traveler who ends up on their site and reads that is just going to be so put off that the hotel would make a decision to work with someone like that. And so when you think about something called Gravy, it's a funny name, but if you think about what it's meant to be, why it's meant that way, it's pretty negative to the consumer.
I'm not disagreeing with you, because some of the stuff that it does, it's really more for restaurants, but hence there is a little bit more now comparison to it. But it's meant, rather than just allowing you to be aware of or push to the proximity of people on their messenger services and push notifications, you're able to quantify them demographically, so that you're only pushing to people and connecting with people that either would like your product, food style, or whatever it is, and are an immediate need and opportunity to take advantage of it, that are associated with interests that you've already itemized on events that they've attended or are currently attending. So it's a neat demographic filtration, so that you're not pushing it needlessly to people just because they happen to be nearby, but really pushing it to people that, because they're nearby, they would be interested in what you have to say. So right. To that end, it's all good. But did I ever tell you my claim to fame with Marriott? I mean, you know how I take for being good and bad. So back when EFAC with Marriott was a small group of older white men, which was the Marriott's franchise marketing group. There was only like 9 of us or something. So Marriott at the time, when Wi-Fi first started coming into hotels, this is how far back it goes, was charging. Everybody was charging for Wi-Fi. And the hotel ownership group that I was with, that I represented, we decided not to charge for Wi-Fi. And so Marriott, in their franchise agreement, says that all of the guests are their guests, basically. I mean, that's their deal, is that, they come to your brand, and even though you own the building, they come to the brand, so that they're their guests. But only when they charge franchise fees for it. So in the Wi-Fi login that we had for the service we're providing, we're asking for stupid stuff like your company name and your email or something. No, your company name and first name was something ridiculous. And I said, well, let's just change that to my IT guy. Let's just change that to your email and your first name. And I figured, maybe 10 people would actually tell us the truth. Very few people would. No, they're like lemmings. They like some internet god would not allow them internet access if they didn't truly say their email address and name. So I started taking this report and then scraping it off of an email and making a database out of it. Now, obviously, brand doesn't like brand to share with other brands. So I would go over and say, hey, thanks for staying. By the way, we have all these other hotels that aren't the same brand. Come and stay with us. Well, of course, it angered the Marriott gods. So I come to one of these EFAC meetings. They had them twice a year, and there's like 9 extra people. And I'm like, what the hell are these people? Did we expand the group or whatever like that? They're all lawyers to exonerate the data of being, so forth and so on. And like, well, actually, it's not your data, because we don't charge for it, so it's not under a franchise agreement. So they said, Lauren, you have the propensity to follow the letter of the law, but not its intent. And I'm like, thank you. So anyway, they modified the franchise agreement to be inclusive of the data, regardless of its franchise fee relationship or not. So I feel proud that I was able to move the mountain an inch when they had to change their policy agreements about the data usage.
That's
so
amazing.
are you saying then today the brands own the email capture and not ownership of the hotel?
Yeah, it's a no-no to take your data out of your system.
It's not your guest.
It's not your guest.
If you're flying a brand flag, it is not your guest.
Nope.
You can't use the data to promote your hotel?
Nope.
Well,
you're violating other rules if you're promoting your. You
You
can't promote your group either. With a lot of these brands, so if you're an ownership group and you own some independent hotels and some other flags, you can't promote them to guests that stayed in the branded hotel.
Whole lots of headaches, they say, because of course they have the master list of the unsubscribed. So you could be you really actually could be stepping into dangerous territory, supposedly to them, that you're broadcasting people that have unsubscribed to you.
That is not correct.
It's
what they say to tell the people who don't know better.
It's a bedtime horror story, so kids don't leave their bed at night.
Because first of all, global unsubscribe doesn't exist. It's by type of communication. Unless you say, I never want to hear from you again, which means if they were really living up to that as a global unsubscribe, they couldn't send you confirmation emails. They couldn't send you pre-arrival emails. They couldn't send you post-day emails. If that was truly the letter they were living by. Instead, people unsubscribe to types of communication. Okay, so I don't want your marketing message, Marriott, because you're off, is what they're saying when they unsubscribe. The hotel is not Marriott. Thank you. Thank you.
Which one? Which one was that?
Out.
You get your dogs well trained. They heard some keywords there.
Marriott.
So the hotel is not Marriott. Like it's not unless it's owned by Marriott, and then of course it is Marriott.
I use that. I use that little sneaky
could-
too, because then it didn't come from the hotel. It had to come from the ownership group. So
Right.
that
But that's the thing. And then global unsubscribe doesn't matter. But also someone who unsubscribes but then gives you their information again in exchange for services or in exchange for asking about doing business with you, they've resubscribed to that engagement. So as long as you keep the communication relevant to why they gave you their information, you're not violating anything. You don't need to go against the global scrub list. It's just something they're saying to get you guys to stop asking questions.
they just don't want you to leave your bed once you go to bed because they don't want to scare the children in the nightmare.
Right. There's monsters under the bed.
Don't get off the bed.
Unless you have to go to the bathroom and then the monsters take a break.
That's right. Well, magically. But
Right.
then you
Right.
look in your own closet because there's stuff there anyway. But yeah. So yes, it is kind of a twisted web for all of that. But the idea that Wi-Fi, I mean, I don't travel without a VPN now. I learned that after going to China a few times. Obviously, I needed a VPN, and then I realized how cool a VPN was. And I'm like, when I leave my own Wi-Fi, I'm on VPN.
Virtual private network for anyone watching.
Oh, sorry, Holly. Yeah,
That doesn't.
it's a software you can buy, and you pay for it. And what it does is it allows you to connect to an alternate server in a different location, and that's your proxy. That's who you're dialoguing with. So it's encrypted between you and it. So what you're doing isn't able to be seen by your local Wi-Fi that you're connected to.
Yep. Or you just travel with a portable hotspot.
Yeah.
Which is actually, by the way,
like,
now that those exist, you can. So there's a great company called TEP Wireless that if you're traveling to Europe, Canada, throughout Asia, you can go to TEP Wireless's website and order a hotspot for whatever market you're going to. They'll either ship it to your house or it'll be waiting at your hotel. And it's a little wireless hotspot that's about this big. You get the backup battery with it. You keep it in your back pocket because it's about that thick. And it supports like 5 concurrent devices on whatever the fastest connection is in the area. So you don't need to get a SIM card for your cell phones because you can just use web calling on your cell phones. You have your email, you can use your maps. It's the best thing. And for like a week, it's like $89 for unlimited service. So if you think about what international calling and all of that costs, I see.
Well, it's different than what you're talking about. I've used yours, and it's excellent. And this is a different one. It's called SkyRoam. You can rent this, or you can buy it, and it works in 197 countries, up to 5 devices, and it's unlimited data for $9 a day. You can buy it for like
it's about the same
thing. Yeah, it's about the same thing. But the coolest part was I used this in China. I've used it in Europe. Australia. I mean, no matter where I go, it's got the variable SIM card value thing to it, so that's my hotspot for everywhere I go. And
Alan Young just made a really good point. By the way, Alan, is this your first time joining us? I don't remember seeing you on here, so welcome. But after 5G is introduced, will Wi-Fi matter? And the answer is no. Wi-Fi won't matter after 5G is introduced. 5G is going to fundamentally change how everything works because it's going to cut the last mile factor. So any of you who had ever done telecommunications, whoever owns the last mile of cable, so the cable that connects you to the actual like location or person or cell phone tower or what have you, they're the ones who make money. They own the network. But with 5G, there is the throughput that 5G is capable of doing. It won't need last mile. So Verizon is hanging their hats on this quite a bit. And actually, you've seen AT&T make some moves lately to get into entertainment and things like that. And it's because at 5G, you'll be able to do terabyte up and down bandwidth to houses through 5G cellular. Yep. So that's going to change everything because.
Well, you see where the TV is going too. I mean, everybody now with DirecTV to go, although it's got a little ways to go yet.
That's AT&T. AT&T is DirecTV Now, I think it's called. Verizon buying AOL and Yahoo. That was content that they bought. That's why they bought those companies. It's to be able to serve video content, things like that. Whoever's buying, who bought Time Warner? Was it Verizon that bought Time Warner or AT&T?
Yeah.
But they bought
Verizon.
Yeah, so they bought Time Warner for the asset, for the content, because when 5G is released, you won't have cables to your house for television, for internet, for phone. You won't need it anymore because 5G is just so advanced and capable that it's faster than cable is.
And everything's going to be connected to it. You're not even worried about all your phone, all your imaging, all your video.
Yep.
I'm going to post something up because Holly, I'm glad you're with us because I would love your input in this. I don't know whether you had a chance to look at this. It was La Quinta's membership reward program going into next year. And I can't even spell La Quinta correctly.
LAQUINTA. You can now use you'll be able to use your reward points that you have as part of the rewards program to buy like groceries and stuff.
Yeah. It's an immediate gratification program compared to the carrot on the stick mentality that we've been floating with since the mid 60s, where you can use it either internally within your hotel stay or you can use it externally because of your hotel stay. But either way, I mean, I'm just amazed at the proliferation of credit cards associated with brand that the incentive programs are going on, because it is to your taking the same analogy, it's the last mile. If you create the purchase relationship with them, then you're creating a loyalty with them because, of course, the reward value of using them exclusively improves by using that card. But my problem is, I think it's in the wrong direction. It's great that they're trying to do that, but this overt mandate that you can only get the real benefit of that card payment through using just the brand, I would have to use Fairmont so freaking much for it to be any sort of value to me. I only have the American Airlines one because I'm in Dallas, and if you don't want to fly, you have to be an American Airlines.
This goes back to the age-old discussion. Loyalty programs are not about loyalty; they're gamification to try and just ensure that if you are going to have a choice, maybe you'll go right. It's a bribery program, like Alan said. But the thing is there's no such thing as brand loyalty in hospitality. It's situational loyalty. Like, you're not going to decide to go to Las Vegas or Reno because you're loyal to a hotel that's only in Reno. Right. I mean, that doesn't exist. And that would be loyalty. Like, if I go to a city, I'm situationally loyal. I'm loyal to things I'm aware of, or, and honestly, even then I like to try new hotels. But it's situational loyalty. Like, I like JetBlue because I live in a market that has JetBlue to a lot of places, and I fly to places that have JetBlue. But I would not take a stopover versus a direct flight. And in my mind, that would say I was a true loyalist. If I was willing to take a stopover versus a direct flight to fly with a preferred airline, that would be loyalty. If I was willing to stay slightly out of the neighborhood that I wanted to be in because I'm loyal to a hotel, then that would be true loyalty. But gamified bribery programs are not loyalty, and they should stop calling them loyalty programs, because what was the number, Lauren? Like, in the U.S., how many subscribers to loyalty programs? 3 billion
loyalty memberships, but only 300 million actual people.
Right.
So
that proves it.
Yeah.
It's a rewards program is what it is.
Do we want to ask Alan? We've never invited Alan. Since you're with us, you want to join visual with us? We can invite you to the broadcast if you're interested.
Alan, you want to join?
We got an empty seat. Actually, we got 3 empty seats today, so we're all good. It's a holiday time. And nobody saw my.
Alan's already declined. He was quick. He was like, "Get out."
He was like, "No, I do not want to be on this show." That's all right, Alan. We don't mind your contributions on the side either, but we just wanted to not be rude by not inviting you to the visualization aspect of the program.
By the way, Alan's part of the birthday club with me and Tim.
Really?
Yep.
Tell me, Alan, you picked a good year to get born, or a good time of year to get born.
Same birthday. Yep.
Which, by the way, for anybody that doesn't know,
far different years.
But for everybody that doesn't know, that we have Mr. StOnge, and we also have Mr. Tim Peter, and we also have Miss Holly Zoba, all within 3 days of each other?
Well, Tim and
you guys
are
are exact.
Same day. Yep.
Same day, and then Holly, you're like 2 days or 3 days after them, aren't you?
2 days after.
Look at that.
See, I was in an odd month. I was in September. Not as cool as you guys, that's for sure. Hey, on other topics that I had thrown out, I only threw 3 out for today, not knowing how long we wanted to run the show. And also, there's some leftovers from some of the other shows we never got to, like the Quinta. I mean, I don't know whether, Holly, if you got a chance to peek at it long enough to have any perception on what you think that direction of La Quinta was going. But
well, first, One thing I will say, the La Quinta approach to making their reward program more interesting, I think, is a better approach than Wyndham's approach.
I'm saying something.
Wyndham's approach is you can stay at our most select service and earn the same amount of points that you would if you were staying in our most full service. So I didn't use like how nice they are. But basically, you stay 2 nights in a select service, you earn the same amount as if you stayed 2 nights in their most expensive hotel, which basically will pack their nicest hotels with consumers who probably will be offended by how much everything costs at that hotel.
Good point.
True. The other just interesting statements, which I didn't realize, was that the Residence Inn announces that it's now in all 50 states, which matches its sister Courtyard, which is the only 2 brands I found out that are actually able to lay claim to the fact that they are physically located in all 50 states. I never really thought that wouldn't be the case.
I didn't realize. So they say in the press release that Residence Inn pioneered the extended stay. I didn't think that was true.
True either. No. I also kind of breezed over that.
I grew up in that, and there's 3. So who do you think?
Well, I don't know who it is, but I was pretty certain it wasn't them.
So you had Jack DeBoer with Residence, Herbie Feldman with Embassy, and little-known George Kaufman with Guest Quarters.
Okay.
And they were all, the all-suite hotel concept roughly coming out at the same time. And I mean, I lived it and I couldn't tell you.
Really? So it is close enough that they can say pioneered and not be wrong.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Well, that's fair. It stuck out to me because I was like, man, that's a bold statement. And I imagine that's a contended title, if you will.
No, really, they're among the very first.
Okay.
Huh. But you got to think of it.
New.
Yeah. It's funny how you just kind of assume that based on the frequency you see brands that they already saturated the statewide market claim to fame, but to only have 2 that can actually say that they have a brand representation in all 50 states, I think it's kind of neat that I didn't realize that we're still trying to shoot for crossing the Atlantic in a balloon kind of thing.
So really not Holiday Inn?
Apparently not. I looked up to see how many. I looked up Google how many brands are in all 50 states, and really the only 2 that showed up were these 2. So unless Holiday Inn hasn't any content that relates to it, or I did a really crappy Google search.
That's the case.
I need fact checkers here. Fact checkers.
I'm on it.
So there are only 2 brands that are still living in the Manifest Destiny thought process. Then,
I guess. The other topic, as we do fact checking, because I know
that just petered out. That was just like, we're gonna move on.
Yeah, we're moving on. I just thought it was an interesting little tidbit of like, I didn't know that kind of thing. I did talk about you, Ed, last week when you were after you got off the show, because I was talking about platform software use that always makes you kind of like go, why did you tell these people these things? Is the Spark by Adobe being able to improve rich media usage for your postings. And that it's free and you can do videos, you can do postings and so forth. And I said, if Ed sees this show, he's probably going to be like, why you tell people to use that? They're just going to abuse the crap out of that.
Nope. I'm just going to say the same thing I always say. Before you use it, you should think through what you're trying to accomplish and what are your goals in doing it. And can you do it with the same consistency and quality as you do the rest of your brand standard, whatever that may be. And if the answer is yes, and you have a plan and you know how you're going to use it, then it's great. If you're using it just because it's neat, don't do it.
Yes. No, the new neatness, we definitely discourage. It's useful for people that need to have better content. They are in the groove. They are trying to be consistent. They are trying to be good about providing themselves content associated with social postings in a schedule that is helpful to them. Then these are useful tools to improve their profiling on it. So yes, that was fun for that. And the only other topic I threw out for chat today, other than the ones that we can grab off that we didn't cover for the past couple shows, I thought it was an interesting standout from the New York Times that they talked about trading hospital rooms for hotel suites. And I'll throw the article up here just so that others on the show can watch and see it as well. It was an interesting, it's always been a business model to build to market. I mean, and hospitals are no exceptions to that. I mean, there are hotels built specifically to accommodate the demand needed to be in proximity to the hotel, either from visitation or from participation at the hospital for medical services. It's usually been equated to plastic surgeries or long-term stays because of treatments that require for children and so forth. The Shriners Hotel, there's a lot of hospitals, there's a lot of hotels surrounding that because of the need for long-term care. But let's see, hotels and hospitals. All right. And here's the link for that.
I kind of feel like it goes hand in hand. I mean, a hospital is basically a really high-tech hotel with lots of advanced services.
Yeah, but the article, I think, goes into nice detail about how the hotel is modifying its services, its room configurations, and its amenities specific to the market it's catering to. Where before, a lot of the hotels that I've seen around hospitals were just trying to act like they were taking care of the hospital guest stay, but they really want to try to be a hotel to the local market. They really weren't really dedicating themselves that, you know, the ability to get into the pool didn't exist. I mean, now there's a very anchored seat that goes in, and all these other things, rooms. There's more ADA compliant rooms than there are non-ADA compliant rooms. There's functions within the rooms that are specific to certain needs. You know, the bell buzzer to the doors, that just not the token minimum necessary for approval, but multiples of them, so that they can be more inventory available, kind of stuff. I just thought it was kind of a neat expansion to tailoring the inventory to the market that it was built for. And I'm always happy that they do stuff like that, because there's always an insufficient need, because those are often sometimes the most expensive hotel rooms.
Polly, you just have to interrupt.
I know.
He's not going to let you go. You got to interrupt.
Normally, I can just sit here and type in my comments, so it is difficult to actually have to.
It's how the show works. It's
Sorry.
the talking head
Just
aspect.
jump in. Jump in.
What was interesting when I read that article, I always think so differently from you two. Thank God. My perception, this is so interesting. We worked with the Cleveland Clinic, the Intercon's next to the Cleveland Clinic, and so I'm very familiar with that concept. But when I worked in hotels, hospitals were a huge market for all of us. And of course, one of the first things I thought about these hospital hotels is no OTA business. They're not spending fees on OTAs because they're getting their business direct from the hospital. And so then I thought, why don't hotels near hospitals simply do a better job of marketing and selling to the hospitals to fill up their rooms? And one of the reasons is what you said, Lauren. I can remember back in the day, salespeople at the property level know that there's business there, but they don't know how much. Individual properties are not good at doing great market research in their market. So they don't really know the volume that hospitals can bring to them. And so in terms of getting the GM or corporate office on board with really transitioning their service goals to be hospital friendly, you know, to really change the way, it just doesn't happen. And so they get small pieces of business instead of growing it. They're continuing to rely on OTA business to fill the other rooms because nobody listens to the salespeople saying, we have to do a better job from a service delivery standpoint for these hospital patients, and we can grow this business.
I think part of the shift in this too is modern medicine has actually started to support the idea that it's not really good for you to be in the hospital for a very long period of time when you're actually trying to heal. You're more susceptible to staph infection and other just hospital-based illnesses that will, you know, potentially kill you if you're exposed too long. And the longer you're in a hospital, the more likely you are to be exposed to these issues. So I think modern medicine has started educating the general public and in the way they behave. And maybe it's insurance companies making that happen, but the idea is to have you in the hospital for as little time as possible and have you healing somewhere else. True.
And maybe to that end, maybe there's a whole nother secondary market value to these hotels in proximity to hospitals where they get out of the hospital after the immediate services and stabilizations there, but they still stay in proximity to the hospital for safety and residual care. I mean, that's something I've never thought about until you start talking about that.
If you were a real enterprising hotel near a large hospital that is known for people traveling in, you probably should be looking into how can you get nursing staff on site for support checks and things like that, and how can you start making relationships with insurance companies? Because if you can convince an insurance company that it's better for this person to only do 1 day in the hospital and then stay in our hotel, because instead of it being $27,000 a night, it's going to be $3,000 a night with on-site nurse, emergency care, vital checks, everything, then I think you would be in a really interesting situation then.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point to make for it, because I do have clients that are in hospital proximities, but their brand is not conducive to the hospital relationship. They're wanting to be something different than what the hospital probably needs them to be, but the proximity means that they have market value. So convincing them of maybe chasing the pharmas down that come to cater to the doctors, because you have a whole ecosystem sitting around a hospital too, of doctors' offices and ancillary services and so forth that you want people have to visit, and people have places that they have to meet and collaborate with, and hotels can fill that need very easily for them as well. So, but I like the insurance idea. That's a neat twist. So
come on, man! Like, got to go where where it's no longer the consumer spending it out of their pocket, because then that changes price points. Yeah.
So, being that it's the holidays, being that tomorrow, okay. So I don't know.
By the way, there's more than just Christmas, Lauren. I just want to say it's also Happy Hanukkah, because Hanukkah is
tomorrow's Hanukkah. Tomorrow's Hanukkah. Kwanzaa's Sunday, the day after, and that's what I was going to say. Is this a calendar coincidence, or did actually the dates just happen to coincide? I've never known them all to be exactly within 2 days. Kwanzaa was usually a week after, 10 days.
They're clustered normally, but it's actually all like coming into alignment for. I can't remember the last time it happened. I'm sure.
No, usually like 7 days afterwards or something.
He'd probably be able to tell us about some Cornell study that was done about the impact of these overlaps.
I bet he's on some big boat somewhere in the middle of the ocean. That's where he's at right now.
I was thinking you should have told Robert Cole about your little gadget, SkyRoam.
Yeah, I did.
Because he could have been on
told
this.
Me. Yeah, well, see, for him, but see, it has to be connected to some sort of 3G or 4G tower. And on the boat is the 3G, 4G tower. And he told me, I think it was in the green room, maybe live on the show. He says, yeah, Sprint will go over and sell me a megabyte at $12 a megabyte. I'm like, I said, so join the show. It's only going to be about a gig of transmission. What? You can buy the boat when you're done.
Right. Still be cheaper than owning the boat.
$12 a megabyte. I mean, back in the day, back 10 years ago, maybe a megabyte was a big deal. Now it's like by just logging on your computer, you burn 100 megabytes just getting powered up.
Well, this is where I like where the European Union's going, where they're trying to outlaw roaming fees.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's funny that they should be the ones, because originally, way back, you paid for your service when you used it, your phone included. When you picked up the phone, you paid for its usage for the time that you were on it. Everything was kind of like how we used to treat a long distance call back in the day. And so it's kind of funny that the people that were the most restrictive about the costing of things turns into the most open of like, we should not be charging for any of this, and it should be one flat cost associated with it. So, but no, I just, we're all getting inundated with the holiday advertisements and so forth. And have you seen anything different about this holidays advertising, or something that stands out from the holidays that is kind of related to how we're going into 17 product wise or culturally wise? Did anything strikes your fancy?
Culturally, yes. My favorite are the memes using Sigourney Weaver from like an early young shot, and it's me entering 2016, and then it's her with the alien sticking out its thing, and she's like, me 2016 did this to me, and then it's her like in the big machine with a big gun, and this is me going into 2017. I think everyone had a rough year this year.
I watched I don't know, Holly, what do you think? You're looking. I don't want to.
No. Did either of you do any holiday shopping in bricks and mortar this year?
Yeah.
Not really.
This is my first.
I looked at stuff. I didn't buy much. As a matter of fact, I didn't buy anything out of brick and mortar.
Well, you know what it is. So I did most of So first of all, I'm really fortunate. I only have to shop for one person, and it's my wife. She shops for everyone else. but I got most of her stuff off of Amazon because, you know, I'm a Prime member and you can buy anything on Amazon. So yeah, but I did actually go take my daughter yesterday to the mall to, you know, let her shop for my wife. So, and it wasn't bad. What's that?
How old's your daughter?
She's 6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's it's kind of funny. Like, okay, so being in the consulting world now, I remember being on the client side where you'd always get these gift baskets. You know, just tons of gift baskets from all the vendors. You know, thank you for your business, thank you for your business, whatever. And then, of course, on the vendor side, a few gift baskets from some large clients, from people, you know, quid pro quo, send things back and forth. And it's just one of those things where, you know, going on your own, you're like, you know, that's kind of the stuff that goes away. I was nice enough that one of my clients actually sent me a gift basket. You would think I got the best Christmas present since the Red Ranger BB gun. It's funny how little things like that just come back to you like, that's just the sweetest darn thing, you know? The purity of getting a gift unexpected, you know what I mean?
The best one that was sent to us this year is someone sent us fruit. And by that point, we were just like, oh, thank you. Thank you for the fruit and not the chocolate and caramel corn and popcorn.
I've always thought that some of those gift baskets were for all the products that nobody would ever buy off the shelf that somehow got to get rid of. Because some of this stuff you look at and you're going, praline crusted hazel, what?
Yeah, until you taste it, then you're like, oh.
Ooh, I kind of like this. Yeah, that's true. No, I was just noticing things like, okay, there's just this amazing emphasis. Facebook really came true to its word. They're pushing the bejeebers out of Facebook Live. I mean, I'm seeing it persistently. The other is Samsung is pushing their whole VR product. Google's pushing their whole.
I wanted to ask Ed, with all the VR advertising, has your position changed at all on VR versus AR?
Nope. No, because listen, first of all, they're
also voice activated.
Samsung is doing a great job playing on the thing that is going to sell their VR headsets, which is the first time you experience it. It is insane. But here's the thing. It's a fad. Like, it's going to, first of all, if it is successful, it's going to just be one of those things that damages society. I mean, as it is, people are anti-communicative as it is, thanks to texting and messaging and all of that. Now, if you're talking about you don't need to go outside your house to experience things, there is going to be a certain part of society that's going to suffer because of VR, where AR, I think, will be good for society. It will better us as a human race because it will allow us to interact with the world around us in a much more informative way. You'll understand the impact of what it is you're seeing. Because sometimes, I mean, and think in travel, like, have both of you done like Rome?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the Roman Forum, like when you go and have lunch, you can go have lunch in the Roman Forum and you can sit on the things that are on the ground. Well, some of the things you're sitting on are like purple porphyry marble, which was mined to extinction by the Romans. And this, you know, chunk of stone that you're sitting on eating your sandwich is worth like 42 million euros. If you didn't have a tour guide with you, you'd just be sitting on a chunk of stone.
You wouldn't know.
And you also wouldn't understand why you're looking up at street level in the Roman Forum if you didn't have a tour guide with you. But if you had AR, it would explain to you that the rivers flooded so many times that modern Rome ground level is, you know, substantially higher than, you know, it was before, and that there's buildings built on top of buildings and things like that. These are all things that AR would allow you to do. It will make you more efficient in grocery shopping. With
VR, you can experience the forum without ever leaving your living room.
So are you really experiencing it then?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think it's induced.
I mean, but VR is basically masturbatory travel. I'm sorry. It is. And I'm sorry to say it that way.
Okay, you know, actually, I'm not going to disagree with that statement. I'm not going to disagree with that.
That's not big at all.
Right. I mean, and that it is where AR is going to improve it. And AR is going to improve our lives. Like when your windshield can start notifying you of changing conditions on the road, that there's an accident ahead, and based on your current speed, you need to stop by this point. You talk about motorcycle helmets having VR in them. I mean,
it's already in there. I want one of
right.
those.
So you're talking about a huge safety side. You're talking about just better knowledge of the things around you, which will make you want to explore. I think AR is just far better than, turning us all into these reclusive shut-ins that, don't understand how to talk to someone and don't understand the value of feeling something or smelling it, or, and the real version of it, not the synthetic made up version that some company created. Yeah. See, Alan, you're never going to see your son again. You're just going to see a digital representation of him.
But Ed, you might not, that's why I think it's going to evolve. I don't necessarily disagree with you that it could be potentially bad for society, but I do think it's going to evolve, continue to evolve. And I don't think today we have any idea what virtual reality is going to be in 10 years or 3 years, probably. But by
the nature of the difference between virtual reality and augmented reality, virtual reality means you are immersed in something that doesn't exist. And in order to be immersed in it, you can't be taking in your surroundings. And that's
kind has shown over and over a propensity to delve into what doesn't really exist. So I think it's going to.
I'm not saying I don't think it's going to be successful. I'm saying I think AR is better. It's better. I think it'll commercially be better because VR is not going to benefit like brick and mortar like AR will. It just won't.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
No, I definitely agree with the same thing. There is some fuzzy crossovers because some of the VR, virtual reality is supposed to be a computer-generated integration, like a gaming environment. And AR is supposed to be the augmented reality of what you're physically seeing and augmenting it by adding stuff to it. But then when you take things like somebody taking a 360 picture or a 360 video that you can engage with from a location, it's still virtual reality because it's computer generated in your environment. And you're not physically there, but it is augmented in the sense that you're now looking at a physical location with enhanced information. So there is a line of crossover between the two. Sure. I do not disagree with anything you said. And it really is,
Well, what they're saying is, what's benefiting the most from virtual reality is artificial intelligence. It's a great way for AI to learn. And so there was an interesting article I read just recently about that, where, a lot of companies that are trying to make their AI more advanced are using virtual reality to do it. So yeah, it's good for computers, but computers don't need to see and touch and interact and don't understand the value of experience. It may make me sound old school, but I'm telling you, like, as it is, look at what chat has done to the younger generation. Try talking to any of these people. Well, they don't want to. They don't want to make eye contact with you. And they're missing out on like the best part of life, which is learning from other people and having the good and the bad experience that comes along with dealing with other people, and what that does for you. And if you don't have to leave your house to get everything, that's
well. What's on the news this morning here in
Alan,
Dallas?
Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again.
Oh, Alan, thank you. Yeah, thanks for the time with us. I appreciate it. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all of them. All together.
Festivus.
Festivus for the rest. That's today. Festivus for the rest of us is today.
Log off too, only because I didn't realize the landscapers were here, so it's about to be very noisy.
Holly, I hope you can join us next week. We're going to try to do a year recap kind of stuff with some highlights and things and all that kind of fun stuff. Plus, if people want to find you, where do they find you?
On the show.
On the show.
Don't come next week, Edward, are you here next week?
I am.
Yes.
We're going to talk about your other claim about voice activated.
Oh, and how it spies on you. Yes, I've been waiting for us to talk about the impact of
for next week.
Amazon Echo in a room.
Yeah, I'm loving it. Save that for next week, okay?
Yep.
Bye.
Holly, thank you. Bye. Have a good day.
Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Festivus. No, I'm
Goodbye.
Politically correct offends me.
I've always been Merry Christmas. Even when people are like, "Oh, Happy Holidays," I'm like, you know what? If I say Merry Christmas and I'm wrong, just I'm sorry. I celebrate Hanukkah. So, well, Happy Hanukkah. Just be nice that somebody's saying nice things to you.
Just told them what they can say to you.
Yeah, it's like, it's okay. I'm fine. It doesn't offend me that, the people that go over like, oh, well, you didn't guess right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to guess. I mean, that's the holiday thing. You don't want to guess. You just want to be Happy Holidays. And it's okay to say Happy Holidays if you're just being general. Like, man, this is great holiday season. Happy Holidays, man. This is awesome stuff. Great.
Yeah.
But don't do it as a cop out. No, I'm with you on that. But yeah, 17 is going to be an interesting roll in. For those who watch, for 17 for us, we are going to be more tied with HSMAI. I need topics, by the way, Mr. Ed. If you have, I'm going to send you a share calendar of things that I'm working with Julie on. We put in HSMAI's schedule of events as they compare to our show schedule for Fridays.
Okay.
And so that we can drop in content suggestions that we then solicit out to the boards and councils to say, hey, we'd like to talk about revenue this one because it's the week prior to the Rock Conference or something. And so can you have people from the Revenue Council come join us and talk about this topic? And that way we can also do a little bit forward advertising because I'm feeding HSMAI now some graphic stuff. I'm revamping.
Sorry.
Should have told you that. I shouldn't have told you that. I should tell the other guys that. I should not tell you that. Next week is my personal time. This is me time. I'm going to be redoing the graphics for the show. I'm going to be doing graphics for the advertise. It's time for a new. I tried to do like the Powtoon stuff, the animations in for a duration of like a couple of months. Well, the current edition is now tired. It needs to be retired, and we need to go to a new version of the animation. And that was from the previous animation. So just beat it up, give them some advertising pieces that are sized out correctly on Canva, so that they can use. And so they're going to promote. But if we have topics that are associated with the actual shows, maybe
why don't we like some of these topics, like so leading into the digital summit and the Adrian Awards, why don't we pick 3 or 4 Adrian Award gold winners and pick apart like why we think they won, what we thought about it, how we thought they could be better. That could be fun. Leading into Rock, why don't we do maybe 1 or 2 shows where we talk about the differences in the current offerings of revenue management systems? Yep. And what makes them different.
There's enough to talk about there. Jeez,
right.
Nidley doesn't talk about there.
Yeah.
That could be a whole month's worth of every week talking about that stuff.
So why not?
Well, the cool part now, I know you're going to be at the conference. I'm going to be at the conference. We have the live coverage we're going to be able to do.
Right.
And it also allows us a latitude to talk to, because we're going to have some of the Adrian winners speak at the Digital Marketing Conference. We are also able to pull them off afterwards and continue with the live interview process of them having a little bit more latitude talking about what they went through on the methodology of their program that got them the award, what their thought processes, challenges, whatever. So we're going to have fun grabbing a couple of those. And for right now, if I can show that I can pull this off, so to speak, I can actually do green room interviewing at the Adrians. So rather than the glad hand,
wait. So that just means you're going to interview a bunch of Marriott and Hilton people.
I think we can be, since it's our show and keeping it.
But I mean, if you're in the green room, they're the only ones who get up on stage because they're the only ones who are spending enough money to get that level of Adrian to be.
Well, there's a few CVBs. No, there's a few CVBs. We had the Australian one, New Zealand last year, and so forth.
Okay, I'll give you that. So there's a few DMOs, a few.
Yeah.
But I mean, quite honestly, it was like 24 Marriott, 24 Hilton wins. A couple of DMOs, a lifetime achievement, which was Marriott last year. I mean,
and I do not take that away from you. And I don't want to go that direction with it.
Right.
And for everybody listening to the show now, I'm looking to get the permission of saying, for all the ones that just get rattled off by name, and the gold winners are, and they show up on a screen and then they go move on to the next item of the day. I want some of those people. I want to reach out to some of those people and say, hey, come over here. Let's talk for a minute. I know you're eating and drinking.
It's less green room, but I think that would be more interesting because.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean by green room. It's just the back, the back of the stage.
The gigantic budgets get above.
No, back of the stage. Chance to have a backdrop. Chance to have a couple of stools. Yeah. I'm thinking about buying the Mevo camera. Because it's a toy I really seem to want right now. And sit around and go, hey, let's talk about what you did to achieve this. What specifics? Kind of like when you're talking about the live show on the shows coming up to it. I'm thinking about trying to have some fun live at the show because I still have this earnest belief that if people really realize the scale, scope, and fun that Adrian's can be and the ability to network and talk to some really cool people, that next year they'll make the expense and the effort to go to it, where every year they've been slightly hesitant to it. I love the pre-Adrian cocktail hour. I love that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Oh my God, the people you talk to, the things that they're talking about. And they're not all open up about every little detail, but it's still the chance to kind of meet people like, oh, so that's who that is. Oh, you guys did that. Just cool conversations. So those two things are there. Then, of course, Rock being in Toronto this year. I actually have a weird concern. I have to go over and get my passport renewed early because it falls within 6 months of my passport ends at the end of next year. And June is within a 6-month cycle. And that can sometimes they can go, no, we're not going to let you in.
It's going to shock you. It's going to be the first year we don't do.
Really?
Yep.
It's because it's in Canada?
No. So first of all, putting Rock in the middle of high tech screwed them both up for the people who support it. So I've been a long time supporter of both shows through both my companies. And last year had the best attendance that I've seen and the worst results. So this year, and the problem is there are just shows that are better. And I hate to say it, there are events that are better for vendors. Right. And I think part of the problem is I think both organizations lost sight of how they pay for this stuff. So
you know what? Just from an input point of view, you got to forward that up to HSMAI because
there was an email that I sent to Frank and Bob a week after the show. They were CC'd together, and I wrote to them that this screwed it up. You screwed it up. First of all, it makes it impossible for companies that are smaller that are supporting both to give both the attention that it deserves. But also, it used to be people came in for Rock and did the first day of high tech, and it made the first day of high tech really valuable. A lot of those people didn't come to high tech. And then a lot of the high tech people who did cross over sometimes into Rock didn't go to Rock. You might as well have the shows at 2 different times, 2 different cities. But that also thrown on top of the fact that it's in Canada, it's just not worth the financial risk. So we're gonna sit out this year and see what happens.
I've noticed a trend, not trend. That sounds like it's more than the people that I know. I know of a couple of organizations that are doing poaching now where, they're called the briefcase people that usually walk around the house.
Yeah.
And so now what they're doing is they're geo-targeting the events themselves, but keeping somebody physically within the area so that they can connect and hook up.
Honestly, I got to say that's shady. That's not.
It is. I'm just saying that. I'm seeing places they're doing that.
I don't recommend any vendors do that because then you're doing complete polar opposite. I think HFTP and HSMAI need to kind of look at how they coexist at this show. And they really just need to accept that they need to do it optimally for both shows. Having Rock in the middle of high tech ruins both for companies that take part in both. And they need to look at that, and they either need to decide finally break up, right? And make it 2 different shows, or work together in an optimal way. But it was really bad last year, and it was the worst version of bad because it was incredibly hard, time consuming, and busy, but not with what you normally get out of the show. Right, and when you consider, there are choices out there to make, because both are very expensive. They're 2 of the more expensive shows to do. There's a lot more competitive offering out there. It's cheaper. The budget we spend on both, we could do a 6-city event ourselves.
And that seems to be where some things are going. I'm noticing now more vendor-inspired small cluster, well geographically targeted events that they much rather spend the money on the people in attendance and have an attendance of 100 to 150, maybe 200 max, and have total concentration, total intimacy with that and provide content than it is to, as you say, throw it large scale, hopes that the masses that are coming. I think it's a difference of perspective where it used to be events were measured in the success of attendance, physical attendance. And I think that the world of live video and so forth, and I'm an adamant person of that, is it needs to get introduced as a means of augmenting the physicality of attendance. You should physically attend if the networking value proposition is there, and you should so online attend if the content is valuable and you need to justify a physical attendance in the future. It's a seeding of interest, I think, and it's just not being done well. Not by some of the more traditional organizations.
Yeah, yeah. So I until they fix that, we're going to sit out. They both know. And
why I'm not surprised that you would not have
I like both organizations quite a bit.
Of course.
And there's a reason I've given a lot of money to both shows, because I believe in them and they have been very good to me. And so, but it doesn't make sense, and it is business. It's not personal. And, business wise, first of all, adding it to Toronto adds a level of complexity, because we own our booth. So we would have to have shipped it out this month to make sure that it didn't get caught in customs and, things like that. You have a whole new level of complexity.
People don't understand. I'll give you an example of Canadian customs, how fickle it can be. When I came back from a European trip, I had a friend that's in Canada, and I wanted to send a piece of the Berlin Wall that I did, a little souvenir piece. There's a chip of the Berlin Wall, a token thing. So I sent it to him, and I estimated the value of $20 or $25, whatever I paid for it. And I called him up a couple of weeks after. I thought he would have gotten it, and I hadn't heard from him. And I said, "Hey, did you like what I sent you?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "I sent you a little something." He says, "No, I didn't get anything." I'm like, "Wow, let me go check." And we gotten sent, and it was gone. And he says, "Oh, I looked up my name and customs or something." I'm like, "Well, okay, so I get caught in customs, okay." And so he went over and looked into it, and he had to pay $200, which I would have told him not to bother. Because he didn't know what it was. I told him, "Oh, it's just a little something," but he paid $200 to get out of customs because it was flagged, because it was inaccurately assessed as to value because it said Berlin Wall on it. No exaggeration. Because I identified what the item was as a souvenir. They didn't agree
that it was only worth $25?
Exactly. And then said they held it.
It's concrete with spray paint on it.
And there wasn't even much spray paint on it. It was more just a piece of concrete, and it said it was from the Berlin Wall. It doesn't even mean that it was from the Berlin Wall.
Right. But there's no certificate of authenticity.
He had to pay $200 in additional VAT tax.
Your description should have been concrete.
Concrete, yeah. Well, then I probably would have had an industry influx of I'm shipping over too much, but it was just he had to pay $200 additional VAT tax to get it out of customs because the quirkiness. And so, to your point, you start shipping big quantities for a booth, anything, the metal tubing all of a sudden turns into rods that aren't allowed, or whatever.
It's
or
a
you
lot of
get 3 out of 4 pieces out of it.
Yeah, it's a lot of complexity, and we're too small of a company to spend our way out of it.
Sounds like road trip. That just smells like road trip.
Yeah, these big vendors that spend $150,000, $200,000 on their booth every year. That's a different thing. Yeah. But small vendors like us, it's too risky. And if attendance is hurt because of it, then it's even more risky. Because just to get a small booth at High Tech's over $10,000 just for the space. If you need,
and that's not exactly in parking spaces. That's on what I used to always call the right rail.
Yeah, and it's small. That's a small space. You're all up. It's easy. I think we spend between Rock and High Tech over $20,000 a year just for that event, and that's not counting our party. Which, by the way, we get more bang for buck out of our party than we do out of the trade show.
Great party, by the way.
Thank you.
I still have that on 360 video, by the way.
I never saw it.
Yeah, I think I do. I have to put that the New Orleans stuff. I have it up on 360 video.
So wait, are you in Florida or are you in Texas?
Texas right now.
So you're getting real Christmas then.
Well, no snow, but cold. Now, no. To be correct, tomorrow is 71 degrees. This early part of the week, we were down to 8. So yeah, we got nice and cold, but it wasn't the snow icy thing. It was just damn cold.
Just cold.
But it warmed up now. It's gonna get a little rainy, and then it's gonna get cool next week. But not like freaking Colorado and all the rest with the snow and the ice and everything else. Like right now, they're not that bad. So, but no, I was going to kind of toss out one nice thing. Since Amazon is such a footprint here in North Texas, you can order Christmas up to 9 p.m. Christmas Eve and still get guaranteed midnight delivery.
Wow, that's insane.
Isn't that something? Instant delivery.
See, you know what got me with Amazon this year is Amex points. I have so many Amex points, and they exchange really well, dollar for dollar, on Amazon.
Yes.
So when
Home
you
Depot
throw that,
Amex points does go well at Home Depot too.
Yep. Well, actually, what's funny is when I remodeled a house, there was certain hardware that I wanted for the house, and I went to go order it, and it was freight shipping, and it would have been like $700 in shipping. I went and looked. All the stuff I wanted was on Amazon and was available through Prime. So I ordered all the hardware for the house through Amazon. It cost the same, but I got free shipping through Prime, and it saved me $700. And like from that point forward, it's like I will never let my Prime membership lapse, because I have like I have a really early Prime membership, so I don't pay much annually for my Prime.
No, I pay. I got it from 2006, so I think it's $90 a year or something like that.
I'm in the 70s. I'm in the 70s.
Yeah. But who was I talking to the other day? We compared savings notes where we use American Express points to buy gift cards that we then go use to buy the discounted cards at Costco for restaurants instead. So it's like, and we don't buy gift cards unless they're at least 20% off. So you get $100 for $75 or $80, you get a $100 card. And then of course with the American points on the 1-to-1, so you're just really redeeming them, so you're not costing for them. It's like Merry Christmas.
I don't think I've ever purchased anything on Amazon without using Amex points as part of the purchase.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, do you use Plenty?
No.
Okay.
I should.
I haven't got enough points on it to really do anything with it. It's multi-platform. It's like an aggregate rewards program that you're not dedicated to just one platform.
Those freak me out though, because the valuation of the points is so yielded that it always ends up disjointed. Not that any other point system's any better, but I think when you add parties that aren't really interested in each other to it, I'm waiting for Apple Pay to get its own rewards program, because I think that's going to end up being the rewards program to kill all rewards program.
I have to chuckle to myself too now, because when we first started talking about using the pins, the chip cards, and you're saying, oh great, brilliant, they go over and now you have to use a chip card. Now it takes 3 times longer to do the same transaction. I just used Apple. I literally, my first question when I buy anything now is, hey, do you use Apple Pay? Great, good, ding. And it sounds really minor, I could easily pull out the card and put the chip in.
But here's why. It's not the time. It's the fact that you have to continue staring at the screen to get the instructions to whether or not you keep your card in, or whoever implemented chip and pin, or chip, because we're not even pin, so we still don't even have the real value of it. Did we not go look at how Europe uses it? Because it's much smoother in Europe.
Oh, tremendously smoother. Tremendously smoother.
Yeah, chip and pin or chip and signature is the best thing that ever happened to mobile wallet. Mobile wallet was a novelty before chip technology. And then chip technology made mobile wallet the best way to pay.
But my problem time-wise is that all the systems haven't converted over yet. So I go to put the chip in. It's like, no, it's a swipe card. Oh, okay, swipe. And then, oh no, and then I go to swipe. No, it's a chip card. So you're this bafflement of confusion where now I just simply say, hey guys, do you have Apple Pay? Great, yeah, good. Bing, we're done. I have nothing else to mess with. So it does help in that regard. Hey, now I noticed it's still you with the Yeti, but I have a question, because I was thinking about being slightly nostalgic and thankful for all the time that you put onto the show and stuff, and along with the other guys and Holly. I was going to get traditional coffee cups that just said, I'm a host of the greatest online show thing, but you don't use regular coffee cups, so I just didn't want to put something on them. All right. In that case,
this Yeti was given to me for speaking at an event. It's the best of. It has my name on it.
Wow, it even has your name on it so nobody else can bogue it.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's I'm loyal to gifts.
Good. No, because I just didn't want, nowadays old coffee cup says, "Oh, look, coffee cup, how cute." I was like, man, I use, I use a coffee cup all the time.
You'll see me do this.
Hello. Yes. Hello. How are you? Well, I'm going to try to put together topics for next week on best of, kind of hit some of the highlights off of the shows from the past year that we can kind of throw back and say anything changed since we last talked about it. And then I'll shoot.
Everything's changed.
Everything's changed.
And by the way, Expedia posted on Twitter this morning how advocacy is more important for hotels now than ever.
No, I didn't see that one, but that's
I was like,
no surprise, but nice that they said it.
Solidarity, Expedia, I agree.
I love how they're pushing Great Britain right now. Is that in your market as well?
Yep. Because they're being paid to push Great Britain.
Yeah, but I mean, neat. I like the ad. I like the ad, the diversification of the ad, and the.
Have you seen the video series they did for Holland? Like it's a full HTML5, pick your own destiny type thing.
No, you have a link to that? You can send over.
I'll
I'd love
find
to see that.
it. I was actually sitting in. I went and spoke at Visit Myrtle Beach's annual marketing event, and they showed what Expedia had built for Holland. And it was like, what kind of Holland trip do you want to have? But it was all HTML5 full video browser, and then like took you through like you were either on a bike or you were in a car, and like you saw the scenery. I mean, my gosh, they're just pushing the envelope. They're pushing the envelope in marketing destinations. And
did I tell you that I had a hotel in Myrtle Beach. One of my most successful off-the-wall campaigns was Myrtle Beach is hot or cold. I mean, literally hot or cold. Either you can't get a room because it's golf season or beach season, or you can get a room no matter, for nothing because there's empty hotels all over the place. So one of the feeder markets at the time I was interested in doing was Cincinnati and Cleveland. And so I went over, and this goes back a few years. GPSs were first coming into their own. I bought a bunch of refurbed GPSs from Tiger Direct for like $40. And what I did was a fulfillment that it was a pre-purchase only, 3-week minimum advance, discover Myrtle Beach. And what I did was I filled the GPS up with all the locations, because there's a platform I use. Can't remember what the name of it is now anymore. That I could put all the GPS stuff in. I did the audio guides myself, the pictures myself. And
so it was your voice?
Oh yeah. I did. Oh, I did one for the Florida Keys. I sold over 1,000 of them. Sold over 1,000 of them. I mean, seriously, it was $2, and you downloaded it onto your GPS, and you were driving past the points of interest. And I did 2 of them, one for the adults and one for the kids. And the kids outsold the adult one 10-1. Keep the kids capped. This goes back years, man. This is before you had the screens in the back of the chairs and all the stuff. But this was where the GPS was. It would tell you're going by the biggest ball of twine, like the Dolphins and all this other stuff. And I sold them for $2 each on this thing. Geophedia. No, not Geophedia. That's the software. I couldn't think of it. Anyway. So I made the GPS fill of all the stuff in Myrtle Beach, and I had, of course, the hotel was in there, and you got it in a box. Everyone loved the fulfillment when they got it in the mail, saying, "Begin your adventure now. Simply plug this in and hit bring me to my hotel." And I had places, not a lot of them, but I had places between Cincinnati and Cleveland that you would be driving by getting to Myrtle Beach. But in Myrtle Beach, I had all the restaurants that were friends of the hotel. I had all of the beach stuff that was interesting for them to go see, some of the golf places that we had relationships with on a wholesaler level. And all of that was in the GPS for them to have, and they got to keep the GPS. And it was great. I mean, I had bought 300 of them. We sold all 300 of them.
That's amazing.
But this is old. This is back, when you can still do those things nowadays. I mean, your phone does everything. You just dump what you need and there you go. So,
yep.
But anyway, so that was my Myrtle Beach story.
So believe it or not, I do have to run. I actually have a meeting.
What? Yeah, that's true. You're the only one in the house.
I'm the only person. No, I'm the only person in the office. The office is closed today, but I took a meeting, and so I'm working from here because my family's at my house, and I didn't want to be like, we're professional.
But are you going to take some time off next week?
No.
my week next week, even though I have some client work, is a lot of like I told you, get the website cleaned up, get some new graphics, get some new changes. I got to reschedule everything, so it's going to be a lot of me stuff. So, well, cool. Mr. Ed, as always, thank you so much for the time, the privilege of it, and getting you on the show. And I know that Robert's enjoying himself on a beach with a Mai Tai in hand, and Tim's with family currently, which I hope you get to enjoy later on in the day. If people want to know more about you, find out more about Flip2 or what have you, how is best for them to find you?
So you can visit flip.to. There's no .com on that, but if you do accidentally put a .com, we'll redirect you. You can find me on Twitter and LinkedIn under my full name, Edward StOnge, and you'll only find me on Facebook if we're personal friends.
As always, for everyone.
How do we find you if we want to find you?
Oh, in front of the green screen, for the green room. No, always at hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com for our friends on Periscope over there, and for Facebook Live. Thank you so much for putting up with the interruption on the start of the show, but for joining us in the process of it. As always, any of the archives of the show can be found at hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com/live. We also have a podcast, which I'll be recording shortly after this as a recap of today's show. We do it each week as well. Also to be found at hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com/podcast. And if you get tired of typing the domain, sorry.
Bookmark.
But you know what we do. It's one of those things. At least you know what it is you're getting to. So, and of course, anything on Twitter at Lauren Gray, and on Facebook at hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com, or actually Hospitality Digital Marketing. So you can find us there as well. Mr. Ed, again, thank you so very much. A very, very Merry Christmas
to you too, sir.
Your family, your team.
I hope you get lots of Star Wars toys. And
yeah, I'm looking forward to probably sometime next week, midweek, when I don't know. I'm going to pick a good time where I can kind of enjoy the theater and enjoy it.
By the way, Rogue One is the best Star Wars ever made.
Really? Good.
And there's not a single Jedi in it.
And not a single lightsaber. Yeah. Well, no.
Oh, no. There is a lightsaber in it. Yeah.
See, I don't mind spoiler readings. I love reading this stuff because it just gets my hype going. I'm excited about seeing it. The best part of the
movie is when you realize when it ends, like what it is in the timeline. Like that's the most interesting. Like that's the best part. When you see it, you're going to be like, "Oh, this is the best part of the movie." So, anyways,
well, I do get one little thing of a trivia point of it, that the 12 seats around the table in the Death Star, there was a big collaboration of why was there an empty chair over there? You know, so I've read a lot of the stuff afterwards. You know, so like I said, I don't mind the spoilers because I still am there for the joy of the movie. So all good. Yep. All right. Well, again, thank you so very much. Happiest of holidays. Look forward to seeing you next week on This Week in Hospitality Digital Marketing, show number 73, which will wrap up the year. And of course, we'll roll into next year with a whole new list of topics and shows. So thank you again.
All right. See ya.
Bye, Mr. Ed.
Bye.